So, shadow work has come up a few times in my readings recently, both posted and unposted ones. And so, this is a shadow work reading. We are looking at the parts of ourselves that we don't want to see. And the damsel was the original card that I pulled. And she showed up at the center asking us to look at where we still want to be rescued instead of realizing that we are the fire. Around her is a star of archetypes. We have the self, the hunter, the cave, the nectar, and the siren. The siren fell in reverse, so I kept it that way. And these are all revealing how illusion and desire can actually become transformation. So if you've been feeling stuck between wanting love and needing to reclaim your power, then this message is definitely going to be for you. So the core theme here, the damsel and calcification, is how we're alchemizing this shadow. Your shadow work centers on transforming dependency, on fantasy and passivity and love, transforming that into sourced power and self-trust. Needing to be rescued actually is here to become being your own flame. And I am going to use the Firekeepers tarot. This is a deck I am not terribly familiar with. I've used it, I think, 4 times now in total. Oh, we already have a card jumping. The 10 of Scepters to kick us off. The burden one. This feels like a tug of war between you and others. There's tension here. I feel like these people are trying to pull the sticks away from you at the bottom. Trying to push you apart. I feel like they're trying to open you before you're ready. It feels a little, it's a strong term to use, but it feels a little rapey, like they're trying to force you to open up in a way that you are not prepared to open yourself. And then you have the weight of this big stone on your shoulders here. I'll bring it closer so you can see. These are quite detailed. The blue and the red of the hands makes me feel like there is polarization between like masculinity and femininity for you, and that's part of your shadow. You wanting to be rescued in like this feminine, sweet, receptive nature. But the other part of you knows it's like, well, fuck that. Like, why wait to be rescued? However, you have been carrying a lot of weight. And there is this feeling of needing support. Can you do it on your own? Can you keep doing it on your own? Why isn't someone else here to help you? Instead, they're just making things worse. They're just pulling things apart for you that you're trying to keep together. You're trying to hold it together. And these 8 swords here, these have you strapped. I almost said trapped. Or what I meant to say is trapped. And what I said is strapped. Feeling strapped down, feeling constricted. I feel like I'm like strapped down to like a table trying to wrangle myself out. And it feels like nobody's there to rescue me. There's intense fear of, is this it? And this could be where that shadow energy comes from, why it's there. Because you feel alone. You feel like you can't save yourself. And this may be it. If you can't do it, then who else will if nobody shows up? What's that? Say it again. Oh, it's barely coming through, but I'm hearing the weight of the world rests on the shoulders of those who have fallen. What does that mean? Those who have fallen. I'm seeing a battle scene. This is like fallen soldiers. The ones that have to be frontline. I could be speaking to Lightworkers here. Those of you that have come to be like the spiritual frontline defense in this spiritual battle that we're in. You know if you know. You'll know if this is you. The Frontline Warriors. Okay. Interesting. Bottom of the deck, the bereaved, the Three of Swords. Yeah. There's heartbreak in this, feeling alone. But it's kept you in this trap of this constant feeling or thinking or mindset that you have to be saved, and it breaks your heart that no one's there to save you. And that's why it's your shadow. Yeah, the carrier of sorrows. There's some oppression here that has been self-brought on, not to victim blame, but sometimes we struggle with tempering our willfulness in helping others and doing for others, and then we get so stacked up with what others need and what we're responsible for them, that there's a culminating point here of really just carrying other people's burdens. Your propensity for compassion and for empathy, for feeling other people's pains and not wanting anyone else to suffer, has created a burden on you where you take on their responsibilities, their karma, their burdens, their, what they should be doing for themselves. You take it on as your own. And you do so for a greater purpose. However, you're wondering why no one's there to save you. It's heartbreaking to realize that you care so much for others and want them to feel no pain, and yet they just shovel over their burdens with no reciprocity. There's no one there to rescue you. Where is your person to take on the burdens? Okay. Let's dig into the self. Actually, I'm conflicted. Spirit, do I clarify each or do I lay out and then clarify? We're going to clarify each. Clarify the burden one. We have the Ace of Pentacles, the Queen of Cups, the Emperor in reverse. Bottom of the deck is the Magician and the World in reverse. I'm feeling a sense of trying to, or this is your opportunity to plant something new where you nurture and grow something for yourself and you take care of yourself. As a mother would take care of a child in a womb, that's how you're supposed to treat yourself right now. While you are shucking the responsibilities of the Emperor. Somehow you put yourself in the position of being this Emperor, but this isn't your role. This isn't your duty. And you, as the magician, you alone have the skills and the resources and the everything that you need to take care of yourself as you should, without needing to worry about the world on your back, without having to be the burden one. You also have everything you need to stop repeating this cycle of doing so. You keep putting yourself in this position of, okay, I'm going to take care of myself. And then it's like, as soon as you hear, somebody else crying out because they can't fix things like you can, you run to the rescue. You're a rescuer. But your responsibility is not that of the emperor. You don't need to carry that burden anymore. I'm liking the potential for this new opportunity, this planted seed of the Ace of Pentacles. I do feel like if you've tried planting this ace before, and each time you get into this nurturing, mothering stage, you're pregnant, but then when it's time to actually birth it and embody and integrate this shadow as an attribute, the damsel as an attribute, shit just gets out of control. There's too much control of you, an unhealthy masculine relationship within yourself. Now, this is your energy. It may have stemmed from a relationship like with your father or grandfather or someone growing up to begin with, to plant that seed. But your inner masculine relationship, it's a bit unbalanced, because then I think you get to that nurturing stage and it becomes pregnancy term, time to birth. And when it's time to birth, you're either too controlling, too assertive, too aggressive, too like OCD about things. Or I'm getting just absent. You're like an absent father. Is that the right word, Spirit? Yeah, deadbeat dad. Deadbeat dad. Okay. You disappear. You run from your own responsibility to yourself because you're trying to nurture others. Okay. Let's get in the surrounding energies. Now, I don't have positions planned out for this. I just laid this intuitively, so we're just going to read it as it comes. The Hector, the Five of Swords, representing the self. The self is the soul, the witness, and the watcher. This is the one inside of you who is witnessing and accepting of, the various and new aspects of yourself without being ashamed or, this would be you radiating through without the shadow energy. And there's conflict here. I feel like you shy away from yourself and from embodying your own burdens versus others. Because if you didn't, it would cause, or you think it would cause, this conflict around you. It would cause a lot of strife, hurt words, Tower in reverse, or Tower beneath with the Death card. And then the Angel. That's a pretty powerful trio on the bottom of the deck here. The Tower, the Reaper, and the Angel. 16, 13, 14. This feels like gutting yourself out in some way. That sounds so like gory, but the shadow I feel like is deep. It would require like a full just like scraping of everything on your insides to get rid of this. It's a deep shadow, but there is something divine here to interrupt this. I think the divine has seen your pain and is sending this healing angel to balance it, to temper it again. I'm seeing like something burn up completely, just disintegrate in the tower, and then the angel brings in the water to soothe what's been burnt and to help the regeneration process begin. It's like a wildfire. It burns down everything in its path. And then once the rain comes and there's a little bit of time, all the plants, it almost grows in, more thick and dense and flourishing than it had before. It's regenerative. Okay, let's get some clarifications on the Hector here. There's definitely an imbalance of power in the self, in the witness. Page of Pentacles reverse, Justice. Page of Swords reverse. Bottom of the deck we have the Empress and the King of Wands. The Empress in reverse and the King of Wands. So what I'm getting here with these guys is part of the shadow element is a avoidance of real accountability. The pages here show a tendency of like observing without acting, especially being in reverse. Or without learning, without applying what is learned. Holding knowledge, but like not embodying it in a sense. And Justice is calling that out. The soul is kind of demanding integrity and truth here. With the Tower, the Reaper, and then the Angel, the ego shell is cracking open and old identities are dying for you. Like I said, we're kind of scraping all that kind of crap out. And so what's left is going to be here purified awareness. Stop watching yourself from the sidelines is what I'm getting here with the Empress. Like, you see how she's turning her head to the dilettante? She's not even looking towards this energy here. It's time to step into like conscious creation and a sense of self-responsibility. The lesson is karmic maturity. So how do you handle the truth when it's inconvenient? When your creative power, when the Empress energy and the ability to nurture yourself gets disconnected from direction and leadership, your expression turns into frustration. I think you can become the Hector here, where words can be rather cutting and there's this win at all costs mentality. And so the healing is balancing divine feminine creation with the confident and disciplined action, and nurture what you birth, then lead it into form. Don't abandon it like the deadbeat dad here. The self really wants you to grow up. It's asking you to stop studying your patterns and actually rebuild from the rubble, to turn the collapse into conscious creation. Fascinating. Okay, let's see where this is going to keep going here with the Hunter. The Hunter is the seeker, the pursuer, and the predator. The Hunter has like a very specific target in mind, and he is hyper fixated on it. There's no way to like sway him from his direction, which can be a very potent energy. I think this can also be an aspect of the shadow. I have a feeling these are all varying aspects of the shadow that make up this burdened damsel in distress. And so there is a bit of hyperfixation here. Pursuing a goal, but at what cost? And the Hunter is always asking, okay, fine, I'll take it. I guess I need 3 cards. The Hunter is always asking himself, or it's important when you are the Hunter to ask yourself, what are you hunting? And why are you hunting it? And also, do you have the tools necessary to hunt what you need to? You don't want to go bear hunting if you've only got a bow and arrow. Or maybe you do if you're like really great at it, but you don't want to go bear hunting if you got a BB gun. So we have Archangel Commander, Angel of Storms and Battles. I believe this is the King of Swords. Archangel of Glory on the bottom, Angel of Art and Grace is the King of Wands, and then Archangel of Mysteries, Angel who illuminates the shadow, is the King of Cups. Below that Archangel Commander, we have the Wish Granted and then the Seeker. 9 of Chalices and Spirit in Search of Science. I'm definitely coming back to that battle scene again. Here's the front guy, front commander, ready to charge through. And I believe he's charging through for something a wish, something he really desires. The hunter has his sights set on a target. And that's some form of a new beginning. Let's get some clarifications on this. Five of Pentacles, King of Cups. Ten of Wands in reverse, the Star in reverse. Bottom of the deck, we have the King of Wands reversed and then the Four of Wands. Oh, fascinating. So front line of a battle, chasing fulfillment. But you seem to always chase it and not take the time to embody it. The hunter's desire here almost becomes a burden when it's guided by emptiness, like the Five of Pentacles and the Star of reverse. There's a very hollow, there's misalignment to the soul's true path, to the soul's true desires and wishes and calling. It's almost empty. Rather than the inner mastery, like the King of Cups, in embodying this wish. The Archangel Commander and the Seeker here remind you that true pursuit is devotion, it's not desperation, and it feels like you're chasing this wish granted, but you're always chasing. As soon as you get it, you don't take time to embody it. You keep seeking the next best thing. You're chasing what the soul can only become. It's time to lead with desire and wisdom, though, not lack. You're possibly chasing for the wrong reasons. This is like just chasing to get it and then move on. All right, let's take a look at the cave. I just heard your art and glory from the Archangel, the first one. I don't remember what it was called. But your art and glory becomes your shadow because you never take time to actually integrate it to the point of expression. It's like you give up before you master it. Okay. The cave. So this is the dark, the portal in the interior. This is the sacred center within yourself. However, it can create an imbalance within you that makes you hyper withdrawal and isolate and end up hiding. It's like the hermit in the cave a little bit too long. The Four of Swords, the convalescent, and then the Nine of Orbs, the eminence. There's that resting in the cave. It's a potent time for healing. But I don't know that you actually spend the time to heal as much as you need to. It's like maybe you take a quick nap and really you were supposed to stay there and enjoy that time and really integrate that time. And, that rest period for you is a reward. Then we have the tension, the Two of Orbs, and the Eight of Swords beneath that, the captor. It's like you get a squirrel in a cage. You feel very caged after so long, so you don't fully integrate and rest as you should. I'm getting a couple analogies here with that. It's like the end of yoga. You're supposed to lay in resting pose, to let what the work you did marinate and integrate throughout. To to allow it to disperse before you just jump up and start moving. And I think you're the type to not do that. You're like, oh, I'm bored, I'm out of here. I can't sit still. The other thing I'm getting is a steak. You cook meat, you cook a steak, and you're supposed to let it rest, right? To let the juices redistribute before you cut into it. And again, there's that impatience. This has to do, I think, with a sense of like a lack of confidence. Do you not think you're worth waiting for? Huh. Okay, that's an interesting way to say it. The Tower. Nine of Pentacles reversed, the Tower, and then the Two of Wands reversed. And then we've got the Knight of Swords reversed, the Four of Cups reversed, and the Five of Wands. I'm feeling this is coming forward more as advice. The Cave is asking you to stop escaping your own silence. You let the collapse clear the noise so that your true value and your true voice can surface here. This is like a descent into the mind where you can confront your anxieties, your isolation, and also the collapse of your own like self-sufficiency. The Tower breaks false independence so that a real peace can form within you. And the Shadow, it hides in overthinking and avoidance. So the medicine here, the remedy, is stillness. It's surrender. All right, let's look at the aspect of the nectar. This says the medicine, the elixir, and the garden. This is about being like an energy of glowing, being relaxed. It's subtle illumination. The Ten of Orbs, the dynasty. And then the Giver, the Six of Orbs. With the Necromancer, Gateway of Resurrection. That's the Moon card beneath that. I think this is definitely a further, we're getting more into advice. Relish in what is regenerative and healing for you. That is how you build your dynasty and your stability. I'm feeling a sense of like a fortress here, where you don't need someone else to rescue you because the fortress you have built, the foundation you have built, has longevity. It will carry you through, and it in itself will shield you. It will help you. There's definitely your inner healing that leads to optimism. Oh, the Sun and the Moon. How interesting. Five of Swords and then Eight of Swords beneath that. Five of Swords is in reverse. So this is overcoming this conflict and this energy of the Hector, bringing balance to it through healing and really illuminating what is deep. This is such bittersweet medicine. Healing through clarity after heartbreak. The nectar, that healing elixir, will form when your deep emotional pain meets illumination and mystery. You find sweetness only by integrating both your joy and your sorrow. The nectar is the heart's alchemy. It's turning pain into wisdom and contrast into light. Now the Siren. This card distinctly fell in reverse, so I kept her in reverse. We have the Kindred, Three of Chalices below that, and then the Captor, that Eight of Swords keeps, it's not like the very front bottom card, but it keeps showing up as a second or third. It's, I think the deeper shadow here is your fear of this connection or reaching out to someone kindred. Ten of Chalices, Ace of Scepters, the Awakening. The Joyous One and the Hollowed Flame. So the Siren in reverse, this can represent wicked wickedness, adultery, wreckage, and betrayal. There's an insatiability to her. Seduction for the wrong reasons. An ending and a beginning. You know, once truth cuts through, once the awakening is there, it exposes how seduction and illusion really loses their hold. I think the siren is revealing here where the pursuit of your emotional perfection and approval has kept you trapped in an illusion here. And the Ace of Wands is reigniting an authentic passion, a joy that is self-sourced rather than being performed. The siren, it's releasing the fantasy of perfect love, and it lights this kind of real flame of self-expression here. Let's clarify this. Page of Cups in reverse. Yeah, there's kind of like an emotional immaturity here as to what you're seeking. The Page of Cups can be rather idealistic. And I think you keep defending this ideal. King of Swords reversed, Hangman reversed, Seven of Pentacles reversed, Knight of Pentacles, Judgment, and then the Ace of Cups on the bottom. The shadow here of the siren. It's unmasking false emotional control. When you stop performing love, that's when your real heart awakens in this. That's when the true calling comes forward. Her song is emotional immaturity. There's, resistance and impatience in this energy. Wanting love or recognition without surrendering the control. And the illusion breaks you when you stop defending your old stories and you kind of release this mental grip. What felt like rejection is actually redirection towards your emotional truth. Okay, let's clarify this bottom deck energy. So we have for the archetype of what's hidden, what you're not seeing, and what you're not seeing in the shadow you're not seeing is the dilettante with the light attributes. Delights in the arts without having to be a professional, alerts you to the danger of becoming superficial in your pursuits. I feel like that you are, out of fear of being rejected by others, you almost keep this distance to yourself. You only let people in so close because the things are superficial here because there is fear of you getting pushed out later. Or there's someone hosting a tricky illusion on you using words of enchantment to lure you in and seduce you when really the intentions are just to keep things surface level. So it's like if I don't give myself and open myself in love, then I don't need to be hurt, and it's a protection. The way he is looking down at everything here, I mean, and her as well. I find it funny that this is back again. I mentioned before, it's been like kind of below the surface cards. And here she's finally to the surface. So this is the unseen pattern that's kind of weaving through everything. The fear of not being enough, it keeps you wandering in the edges of your own gifts. The dilettante here and Mercury are revealing like a brilliant but very restless mind. Constantly searching, communicating, dabbling. Yet the shadow is like your self-doubt, disguised as curiosity. The vagabond here is mirroring the spiritual traveler who forgets they already carry the map. he's looking down here, especially. Chasing unreal happily ever afters and finding himself left out in the cold. And the captor is showing here how mental loops and comparison, they keep you trapped in potential instead of mastery. The hidden wound is fearing your own depth. Freedom comes when you stop studying your light and you start embodying it. Stop observing it. Start living it. Overall, I'd say a very beautiful energy. And I almost forgot about the poet. Speaking of rejection, it's funny, the poet, I do remember this card talking about how the poet may, express these beautiful poems and words and art, and some may not recognize it or acknowledge it or applaud it. They may go unnoticed. And that's exactly what I did here. And the poet, I feel like, is the remedy to the dilettante's restlessness and Mercury's overthinking. Like bats in the cave, set the bats in the cave free. So where the dilettante flits from idea to idea, the poet is anchoring that experience, pulling all those little ideas into one central orb, into a seed. He experiences or pulls that experience into meaning. It's the same curiosity, but now it's sung instead of studied. So the poet is reclaiming the vagabond's wandering and turns it into art. It transformed the captor's self-doubt into truth-telling, into mastery. All the lessons here, from the damsel, the hunter, the cave, the nectar, and the siren, they find voice in the poet. Your final takeaway, I feel like, I am going to pull an angel number and an angel guidance card to close this out, but the main takeaway I feel like in this reading is that the poet is the alchemist of the whole spread, turning shadow into story. He's also turning confusion into creation and self-observation into divine expression. And that's what this fire is about, this calcification. Oh, that's so beautiful. Okay. Oh, 0440. 0440, the gut feeling. This is about your intuition, integrity, relationships, value, insight, perception, love, and commitment. It says, trust your intuition. It's more than just a feeling. Be genuine with others and prioritize meaningful relationships. Remember to bring value to every interaction. Treat others with respect, as your actions will return to you in kind. Be mindful of boundaries, as too many voices can cloud your journey. And then there's protection beneath the surface, transformation, power, encouragement, clarity, purpose, strength, divine love. Prepare for the blessing you've been waiting for. They are on their way. You were born for a higher purpose. Focus your energy on your goals and trust the universe that the universe will align the right people, opportunities, and resources to realize your dreams. This is my angel number 444. You are definitely protected. You have angels watching your back here as you venture and journey through the cave. But definitely trust your instincts, your intuition. It's leading you in the right feelings here. If you can kind of cut out the chatter and anchor those, right? Be the poet. Anchor those experiences and those wandering aspects and lessons throughout this spread. Anchor those into art, into truth telling, into story creation, into expressing for the divine. Angel of expression, speak of the devil. I can't make this shit up. It says, speak your truth and express yourself clearly. Goddess of knowledge, start to apply what you already know. Trust your intuition. So intuition is high. Your angels are surrounding you. And you got a lot to say. You are the poet after all. So this is where I'll leave it. Man, I hope this helped. This is probably a way long reading. I'm sorry for the length. I just get carried away, I guess. But I do hope it serves you well. I thank you for watching. Please like or comment if this resonated with you, or if you want to anchor this healing and energy into your own. Claim it as your own. And really appreciate it, and I appreciate you.